Good morning, Marvin Sylvester here. So where am I today? Today I'm actually in Chaguaramas, Trinidad and Tobago. This is now in the northern part of Trinidad. Um, I'm here inside Tucker Valley Road. Um, Lots of places inside here. You have You Pick, popular food place. There's a shooting range. There's all the way down to the end. There's a beach called Macrip. So no, nice beautiful place. As you can see, the weather here is a bit overcast, but fortunately it's not raining, so um, I could go straight into the news today. So what am I going to cover today? I'm going to cover um, several things, a lot of them connected to the Trinidad and Tobago Energy Chamber Conference, the energy conference that they had this week, which ran from the 23rd to the 25th of January, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A lot of things connected to that, and then another big story from a release from a media conference from the Prime Minister. So let's go straight into it. So first piece of news I want to cover today is from a Reuters article dated the 24th of the 1st, 2023. Exclusive. US issues license to Trinidad and Tobago to develop Venezuela offshore gas field. It's an article by Matt Spetalik and Curtis Williams and Mariana Paraga. And let's get into it. So it says, the Biden administration has granted a license to Trinidad and Tobago to develop a major gas field located in Venezuelan territorial waters, US and Trinidad officials said on Tuesday, marking a further easing of some sanctions on Venezuela. Now, this was a very big announcement when it came out, and I am, how to put it, overly cautiously optimistic. I'm very cautiously optimistic about this news, and as we go into it, you'll see why. I'm gonna connect it to a couple other stories, and we'll build this thing from, based on my views and opinions. So the license, issued by the US Treasury Department at Trinidad's request and intended to enhance Caribbean regional energy security, means the island nation can do business related to the Dragon gas field with Venezuela's heavily sanctioned state-run oil company, PDVSA. So this Dragon field is to the northwest of Trinidad. It's offshore. It's mostly in Venezuelan waters, but this license allows us to interact with Venezuela to develop it. The Prime Minister, Keith Rowley, speaking at a news conference in Port of Spain, said Trinidad expects to gain access to 350 million cubic feet of gas per day from the Dragon field. So 350 million cubic feet per day, but they didn't exactly say for how long in terms of time, how much years or how much we expect. That would have helped me to guess a little bit as to the actual size of this field, but I'm guessing in time we'll get that info. He said he applied, continuing the article, he said he applied for the license in mid-2022 and won approval after discussing it with top US officials, including US President Joe Biden, while also keeping an open channel of communication with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. So to me, on the surface, this is very good news. It's very good news for a few reasons. The first reason is that it shows that diplomacy is not dead. There's a lot of things happening in the world, and this is definitely showing that between different countries, Trinidad, Venezuela, the United States, you have that dynamic between Kamala Harris, the Vice President, United States President Maduro, Prime Minister Rowley, the wheels of diplomacy was turning there. Another positive coming out of this is that, as I would have mentioned in one of my videos 2 weeks ago, where I mentioned the Woodside Calypso project, and that was due to come on stream somewhere around 2022. And I was like, this is good news. So this is also good news. It's also good news. As I said, when we see articles like this, we need to cover it because we really do need the gas, right? And I would have also mentioned that we will not producing as much as we could. So I've read, some people have pointed out the statistic that Atlantic LNG, which is the organization that processes LNG here in Trinidad, they supposedly have a total processing capacity of 4.2 billion cubic feet per day, but right now we're using just under 3 billion cubic feet per day. And I saw somewhere else in another article where it was saying approximately 2.9 billion, right? So there's a difference of what, 1.3 billion. So this news obviously is good news because it's going to help us to plug that gap in terms of us getting closer to our maximum producing capacity at Atlantic, right? But as I go further into this Reuters article, we're going to see several other key factors that I consider to be make or break factors that will impact this project, and I think it's very important to mention them and to highlight them. So if we go further down into the article, there's a part in it where it says, a senior U.S. official speaking to Reuters on condition of anonymity said the Maduro regime will not be permitted to receive any cash payments from this project, and all remaining U.S. sanctions would be unchanged and enforced. So what does that tell us? We have this project where the gas is mostly located on the Venezuelan side, on the Venezuelan border. It's being allowed to go forward, but Venezuela not making any money out of it. I think that is something that's a very key point, right? We need to keep our eye on that, because who does something for free in these kind of big things, where especially where the gas is coming from their border? Continuing on in the article, it says the license will allow PDVSA, Venezuelan authorities, Shell, and Trinidad to jointly plan and develop a gas exporting project after agreeing to pending details in coming days. So that's gonna, the license has been granted, but there's still some more details to be ironed out with the US, right? Also, continuing, a portion of the resulting gas must be exported to Jamaica and the Dominican Republic, right? According to the 2-year license terms, Rowley said. So, two key important things here. You have some of the gas to be exported to Jamaica and Dominican Republic. We're not sure how much. How will that impact us here in Trinidad? Yes, some have to be exported, but I'm pretty sure, a lot of people would be looking forward to some of that gas being used here in our industrial sector for places like Point Lisas and a lot of the downstream companies here in Trinidad. And then a very important point to note, this is a 2-year license. I'm gonna come back to that. So continuing the article, another key point I noticed was it says, even with Washington's granting of Trinidad's request, it could take years of investment and effort to bring Venezuelan gas to Trinidad and boost LNG exports. Very important. It says it could take years. We're going to come back to that. And the last point that I want to point out from that article is, in addition, With no payments authorized to Venezuela, it could be difficult for Trinidad to craft a deal with Caracas. Go back to the point I was making there. So no money, no, Venezuela not supposed to get nothing out of this, and I doubt Trinidad would break those sanctions and face secondary sanctions or whatever it is to engage in such a thing. So how this gonna work? But I'm gonna come back to all of this, right? Because on the surface, as I said, this announcement is very, very good news, but I am cautiously optimistic about it because it still have a lot of open-ended questions.